ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगीव यस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वर्स नंबर 57 अतद्व्यावृत्तिरूपेण वेदान्तैर्लक्ष्यते द्वयम् अखण्डानन्दमेकं यत् तद्ब्रह्मत्यवधारयेत्. So we were seeing yesterday that Brahman cannot be revealed by any means of knowledge. This is a very basic criteria in Vedanta. Any self-revealing thing cannot be revealed. Need not be revealed. Why can't be? Need not be revealed. But so here what we are saying is that Brahman is very difficult to be revealed. Even the words also cannot reveal of the Vedanta. Words of Vedanta also cannot reveal. And so basically, therefore Vedanta employs a special technique to reveal Brahman, to give you the knowledge of Brahman, to illumine Brahman, to reveal the nature of Brahman. It employs a special technique. And why the Brahman is not possible to be revealed? Because there are three, we saw yesterday three reasons. First thing is, there is something which can reveal Brahman. That revealer must be different from what is revealed. Like right now I am a revealer and I reveal this pen. So revealer, revealed. Two things are there, right? And so Brahman, well, definitely it's Advayam. Advayam means there is nothing other than Brahman, being limitless. And therefore there are no two things, revealer, revealed. And therefore definitely Brahman cannot be revealed because revealer is not there. And therefore, well, so it cannot be revealed. Second thing, of course, we saw any revealer is basically a means of knowledge. Like this pen is revealed through my eyes. So eyes are called pramanam, means of knowledge. And pen is a object of knowledge. So it's called prameyam. And therefore pramana, prameya, sambandha, relationship must be there. Then only it is revealed. If my eyes could not contact this, then definitely there is no question of pen getting revealed. And therefore, pramana prameya sambandha. And therefore, a revealer revealed connection should be there. Brahman is asanga, not connected to anything. Again, the same reason, advayam, there is nothing other than Brahman. Then where is a question of connection, relationship? And why it is there is nothing other than Brahman? Because limitless. That is what the word Brahman reveals. But Brahman says that it is limitless. And therefore, definitely there is nothing other than Brahman. Then therefore there is no relationship. And if relationship or connection is not there, well, how Brahman will be revealed? And therefore, ultimately, this second argument is, Brahman is asanga. There is no, words and object, or that is Brahman here, object of knowledge, that relationship also is not possible. Then third reason we gave is in any language, whatever the words are there are 5 types of words in any language. And first is a jati. Yesterday I told you there are words which reveal the meaning in form of a jati, species. We always understand the things in form of jati, really. Because what happens is, when I say, what is this? You say clip. I say, what is this? You say pen. I say, why are you using another word? He says, this is clip and this is pen. But why? So I say, well, you say this is clip and this is pen. No, I won't say that way. Why? Because clip has clipness. He will say that. Ultimately what he can say. Clip has clipness. And this has a penness. Okay, then I say, what is this? Oh, this is another clip. Why? Because he said both are similar. What is that similarity? Species. He recognized the clipness in this. He also recognized the clipness in this. Right? And therefore, that clipness, which is called samanyam. Nayayika calls it as a samanyam. Samanyam is just jati, species. So that is how you are able to recognize, even though there are several thousands and thousands of types of trees are there. Thousands and thousand types of, let's say hundreds of types of dogs are there. You know, a bigger and smaller and whatnot. Chua chua or so what? Chua chua. Hey, with this much you can put in the pocket. Such a small dog. Chua chua. Anyway, bigger, smaller, anything. But you are able to recognize it is dog. You may not be knowing the subspecies. That's okay. But you say it is dog. How? Because you recognize dogness. That's how. That is how, in fact, a child has learned. Mother makes the child, makes the child recognize varieties of the objects through that. Mother will show a child when cow comes near to the home. That is in India. This is in India. So, when the cow comes very near to the home, she, takes the child in a lap and in a hand, and then says, "Hey, look, this is cow. This is cow." Once or twice, that's enough. Now that cow has gone for good. Now after 3 days, another cow comes. Another cow. The child tells it is cow. How? That cow has already gone, which was recognized which was introduced to the child. That cow is no more there. Now another type of cow, another color also may be there. Maybe may not be that, the horns also may be there, may not be there. Still, child recognizes, you imagine, child recognizes this is cow. So because we always pick up all the things, we recognize the objects in terms of species. Species is something, jati is something which is common in a given group. In all the dogs, what is common is a dogness. In all the types of trees, what is common is a treeness. In all the human beings, right? An American look quite different than an African looks quite different than a Japanese, and Japanese look quite different than an Indian. Still, he is a human being. That's all. So this is how we understand because there is a humanness, whatever. Shiraf Panyadiman Manushya, this is how they define. Shiraf Panyadiman Manushya. One who has a head and hands is called Manushya. This is how they define the human being. Whatever it is. But ultimately we recognize through what is common in a given class of things. And that is called jati. So we have words. Human, dog, this, that, tree. So all these words denote jati. They denote jati. Then guna. But Brahman cannot be revealed through these kind of words. Because Brahman is neither a human being, neither a dog, because it doesn't have any form. And Brahman is one. Therefore jati is something which is common actually in a given class of, in a given group of things. Here there is no group. There are not so many Brahmans. And therefore in all of them, all Brahmans, there is one common thing that is called Brahmatvam. It's nothing like that. And therefore, and as such also jati will not work. I have told you another reason also, because jati comes through the janma. That's how word jati itself indicates that ja means to be born. It's a fourth conjugation. Jayate, najayate, mriyateva, etc. Anyway, so jayate means to be born. So jati has that ja in that. means which comes along with the birth. Jati comes along with the birth. Otherwise, where is the question of jati? Once any being is born, then you say, well, it belongs to human or it belongs to this or something. Anyway, so it won't work because Brahman is Ajah. Brahman is not born, doesn't die also. Najayate mriyateva. Anyway, then properties also, guna. And so Brahman doesn't have any kind of a guna. We are going to see arasvam, adirgam, asthulam, ananuhu, arasvam, adirgam, achayam, alohitam, anakasham, etc., etc. The biggest definition of Atma or Brahman is there in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Biggest definition. I have never seen such big definition of Atma anywhere else in any Upanishad. In Akshara Brahmanam, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, while teaching, Yajnavalkya was teaching to Gargi, and that time he defined that Aksharam Brahman. Aksharam means this Atma or Brahman, and in I think 3rd chapter, 8th Brahmana, Akshar Brahmana. So 388, there it has been defined. Big definition. No, it is not short and it is not long and it is not gross and it is not subtle and like that. Not small, not big, etc., etc. Alohitam, it is not red and it is not blue and etc. So many attributes, all are negative. And therefore all the words denoting, revealing the property, guna, will not work in case of Brahman is nirgunam, and therefore it won't work. And then we have seen Kriya also doesn't have any Kriya, and therefore Brahman cannot do, even if Brahman wants. He doesn't want, but then Brahman, even if he wants, it cannot do. What? In any action, basically there will be a movement of limbs, ultimately. Any action, movement of limbs, does not have a limbs at all, first thing. And being limitless, where there is no movement possible. Anything which is limitless, movement is impossible. In fact, we are not able to see the movement in space itself. And therefore, so Nishkriyam, Brahman is Nishkriyam. And therefore, all the words denoting Kriya, action. So many words are there. We have a driver and this conductor, and then all this gardener and a cook, and this all denoting Kriya, some kind of an action. No. Sambandha, he has no sambandha with anything. And therefore father, mother, this, that, so many words we have revealing relationship. That also won't work. And Rudi. Rudi means, Rudi comes when anything is available for sense organ. Then we have certain words. That also, because Brahman is not available for sense organs, ashabdam, asparsham, etc. And therefore, all the words definitely which can reveal objects, different objects, none of the word is able to reveal Brahman. And therefore, Brahman cannot be revealed through the words. Anyway, so we have no possibility. Why we discuss so much? Because Vedanta also is in form of words. Teaching is in form of words. And therefore, definitely then, whatever language I use, I will not be able to reveal Brahman or Atma. And therefore, Atma Jnanam is not possible. Then we say, Vedanta has a special way of revealing. And that is denoted here in the shloka, Atad Vyavrutti. It has been told here, Atad Vyavrutti Rupena Vedantaihi Advayam Brahma Lakshate. That's how it has been said. And this is the ingenious method. Atad Vyavrutti. So Tad means Brahman. Atad means not Brahman. Or let us say Tad means Atma. Atad means not Atma, means Anatma. And therefore Atad Vyavrutti. Vyavrutti means Nisheda, negation. Rupena, in the form of. So, Brahman is revealed or Atma is revealed in the form of negation of all that is Anatma. So, ultimately, by negating what is Anatma, Brahman is revealed. How can you reveal? Because Brahman is the one, who is in the form of a negator. And therefore, definitely, Brahman is revealed indirectly. Lakshate. Brahman is revealed as a negator, which is left over after negating everything. If you remember, I had given you one example that I sent one person, it was a monsoon and I had to go to a class, same Panchadashi class. It had really happened in Ahmedabad. I'm talking in Gujarati class. So on Wednesday, and it was a very heavy rain. I could not go. So, still I thought if few people have come, I will go by auto or something. And then but the person was living nearby to that place where I used to conduct classes. So I told that, please can you go to that lecture hall and find out whether the people have come or not. If they have come, please tell them to wait, I will be coming. Then he went there, and from the classroom, he called me over a mobile that Swamiji, nobody is there. Nobody has come, means nobody is there. He negated all the students. But I understood very well that the negator is not negated, right? The one who negated all is right there. So he has not told Swamiji, don't think that nobody has come. I have come in the class. He need not tell that. I understand. He need not reveal himself, sir. He by negating everything, the negator has revealed him that he is very much there. This is how it is. And therefore, ultimately, by negating everything which is anatma, the negator will definitely be there. As such, also negator, the atma is adhishthanam of what is negated, anatma, etc. And therefore, it must be there. But Swamiji, how can you, under what basis you have decided that everything is anatma? Well, we have five factors. What are those 5 factors? That what you negate must be having these 5 things. Must be having. Then only you can negate it as anatma. And therefore, what is that? First thing is it should be an object of knowledge for you. Naturally, if you want to negate it, it must be an object of knowledge for you. And therefore, that's the first criteria. Second criteria is what? It is made up of elements. 5 elements. Then the third thing is what? Well, it has attributes. And fourth thing is what? It is a changing all the time. What is the fifth factor? Well, it is temporary. It comes and goes. And therefore, other than you, the consciousness, you can negate everything because everything has these 5 factors. Start with the body. Body is negated because it's an object of knowledge. It's an atma. Body is drishyam. Naturally, body is made up of elements. Body is definitely having attributes, its own attributes. And body is all the time changing. And it is temporal. Physical body. Then, subtle body also. Your senses, your mind, every thought, in fact, every thought is drishyam for you. It's an object of knowledge. And but Swamiji, thought is made up of elements. Yeah, it is made up of elements, subtle elements. Ultimately, we call it as a matter. Everything is matter. That's all. A subtle body is also matter, and everything is matter. So anatma means matter. So they generally, they divide like this: matter and consciousness. That is how they in the world. Well, they divide like this: matter, consciousness. Matter means anatma. Consciousness means atma. So, matter or anatma has all these 5 factors. And therefore, atad vyavrutti, by negating what is anatma. Well, Vedantahi, by the Vedanta. So, but in Vedanta, where is this negation? Neti, all this. Asthulam, ananur, asvam, yadarigam, achayam, ashabdam, asparsham. It is not Shabda, it is not this, it is not that, it is not gross, it is not subtle, it is not long, it is not big, it is not short, it is not small, it is not red, it is not this, it is not this. Neti, iti Vedantaihi. So neti. And therefore, once you, so lakshate. Lakshate means it is indirectly revealed. What is revealed? Atma is revealed indirectly. Just as the person has not told that Swamiji, I am there. Huh? Don't think that everybody is not there in the class. Don't think I have come. You need not tell, sir. You need not tell. I have understood. The very negator that nobody is there in the class, one who says that, must be there. And therefore, so indirectly revealed. The negator was revealed indirectly. Same way here, Brahman is revealed indirectly. So lakshate means indirectly. Uchyate means revealed directly. But that's a word pen reveals the object directly. Lakshate means indirectly revealed. Okay. And this is so much of difficult. But then what that Atma is consciousness, how big it is? Advayam. Abba. Ho gaya kaam. Advayam. Well, this negator, the consciousness is ultimately, or the Sakshi of all this negation, that Sakshi of the consciousness is Advayam. There is nothing other than that. Oh my God. Means that consciousness is limitless. Right? Once you say, well, this is, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, etc., etc. And therefore, what the negator left over, what is the dimension? What is the dimension of that negator? Please tell me. What is how much length, how much width, how much breadth it is? That Advayam is a very crucial word. Advayam, there is nothing other than the Brahman, which is the witness of entire negation, entire Anatma Prapancha, and the negation of that, well, definitely is done. But Swamiji, this revelation of the Brahman seems to be quite difficult. Why can't you leave that Brahman? This is a botheration. Let's leave it. Let's talk about something which is really good, good food and good objects. Leave it. This is lakshate. That's how in some schools also teacher always say like that. Some of the topic, if it is very difficult, well, they won't teach. And they tell the student also. If somebody goes, teacher, please teach this particular topic. No. Because you see, in the question paper, you are going to get a multiple choice kind of a thing, write answer the 5 questions out of 8. So definitely if that the question pertaining to that topic comes, leave it in option. Forget about it. So let's leave this Brahmana in option. Leave it. Let's talk about everything, names and forms. Only names and forms. Let's talk about it. Because I am also having a form. I have one name, Swami Muktatmananda. So name and form. Let's talk about it. All this because which is never revealed and lot of botheration is there. Then why to do that? But every moment the human being is in search of Brahman. How can you say that? See the word they have used. Anandam. What can you do now? What can you do? In fact, through every form you are searching that. Through every name you are searching that. People get a lot of joy by name itself. What to talk about the form? People get joy just by reminding the person has gone. Just by remembering the name of the person also person gets a joy. So, through even names and forms, people are in search of joy only, happiness. That is its nature. Anandam, akhandam. Well, it is divisionless. It has no division. It's a whole, homogeneous whole. And therefore, Anandam, Ekam, there is nothing other than that. And therefore, Yat. So, Yat Anandam, Akhandam, Ekam, Advayam, etc. Which is Ananda by nature, which is Ekam, which is one without the second, which is nothing other, there is nothing other than that. Tad Brahma iti avadharayet. Well, that is Brahman. May you ascertain that. May you know that is Brahman. That is you. Now let's go to the next verse. Akhandananda rupasya tasyanandalavashritaah brahmadhyastaratamyena bhavantyanandinokhilaah. So now you see the consciousness is of 2 types. Don't get upset. The consciousness is of 2 types. 2 types. One is let's say our Atma, that is, in form of a just consciousness. And other is a reflected consciousness. So we call it as a Chidabhasa. One is a Chit, other is a Chidabhasa. Both definitely both are Chetana. And same way, Ananda also is of 2 types. One is Ananda by nature, that is Atmananda, and other is which is the nature of the Brahman or nature of the Atma, and other is a reflected Ananda also. Same way like reflected consciousness, we have a reflected Ananda also. We have to talk about that in this verse. So just as consciousness gets reflected in the mind, happiness also gets, sukham also get reflected in the mind, in ideal conditions. So we call it as a pratibimbananda. Like pratibimba chaitanyam, we can call pratibimbananda. And in Taittiriya Upanishad, this pratibimbananda has been talked about when in the Brahmananda Valli, when they talk about the Anandamaya Kosha, they have talked about this pratibimbananda. Tasya priyameva shiraha, modo dakshinah pakshah, pramoda uttarah pakshah, ananda atma, brahmapucham pratishtha, etc. etc. So, Brahma means that is a Sarupananda. That's okay, limitless, okay, fullness. But that Brahman only gets reflected in the mind as Pratibimbananda. And it has a gradation. What kind of a gradation? Priya, Moda, Pramoda. They are all three types of Anandas only, but they are all graded, etc. So Bimbananda is not and definitely an object of an experience, but this Pratibimbananda which arises in the mind, definitely since you are able to experience your mind, well, so this also you are able to experience. What? Pratibimbananda. So to understand this, that Bimbananda is not able, we are not able to experience Bimbananda and only Pratibimbananda, that we can understand by example. A very simple example is, like however powerful my eyes will be, but I will not be able to experience my eyes or my face, whatever. So eyes can experience everything, eyes can see everything, but eyes cannot see the face or eyes cannot see themselves. Even Lord Rama or Krishna, when they came in the avatara, they were not able to see their own eyes. Well, so then how will I see my own eyes? Only one way is you have to see your reflection. You have to see the reflection of your eyes. To experience your own eyes will not be in the form of a bimba. It will be always in the form of a pratibimba. Right? So you experience your eyes or you see your eyes, let's say. Experience means seeing here. You see your eyes, well, not in form of these original eyes, but always in the form of the reflection in a particular medium. Same way Ananda, which is yourself, is not available for experience. That is you. But Pratibimba Ananda, which arises in the mind and which has a gradation, which comes and goes, that is available for experience. That is what you are telling also. Oh, Swamiji, I am in great mood, etc., etc. Or I'm okay, Swamiji. I'm not having so much discomfort, but well, it's okay. So you experience your Ananda which arises in your mind, that is available for experience. So this is always one Pratibimba Ananda, etc. is available for experience. Bimbananda, which is just you, which you have to understand. Bimbananda is a matter of understanding. Pratibimbananda is a matter of an experience. So, and what is that Priya Moda Pramoda which is Pratibimbananda, which I will tell to you a little later. So anyway, and this Pratibimba being, it is always dependent upon a reflecting medium. Pratibimba is only, they call it as a, it's the Pakshapati. It's always, it's on the side of what kind of a Pratibimba will be generated, depends upon the reflecting medium. So if reflecting medium is bright, well, and then definitely the reflection will be bright. And if it is dull, it is dull. So now we'll have to see, in Pratibimba Nanda also there is a gradation. And we have told also a condition that when Pratibimba Ananda gets manifest, Bimba, that is the Atma alone, gets manifest in the reflecting medium, that is mind. Under what condition? Well, Atmananda only gets reflected in the mind under what condition? So that is what Bhagavan has told in chapter 14. Bhagavan said, Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena chanaga. So Bhagavan says, Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat. Well, definitely since sattva, is very clear, Well, this Atma gets manifest in, in the mind, and Atmananda also gets manifest in the mind under the condition of Sattva. So, reflecting medium, that is mind. If it is having a Tamoguna, under the spell of Tamoguna, well, then definitely Atmananda won't be able to manifest. And if it is a Rajoguna getting too much agitation, well, then also Atmananda won't be able to manifest in that. Only under the condition of Sattva, well, definitely Atmananda gets manifest. That's how we always say reflecting medium should have two things. For a proper reflection, clear reflection, well, it should have two things. One is a steadiness of the reflecting medium. Second is a purity of the reflecting medium. It should be pure, not dull. If it is too dull, well, my reflection in the mirror itself will not be clear, right? And well, in case of mirror, I suppose if some person is doing like this, constantly moving the mirror like this, well, my reflection will not be proper. So, similarly, mind also has a clear expression of Ananda, that is Atma, that is its nature, of course. If mind is pure and steady, and well, steady means it should not have agitation, means it should be free from Rajoguna. And it should be pure, means it should not be dull, means the mind should be free from Tamoguna. And therefore, under this, when the mind has a Sattva Guna predominance, then definitely the Atma gets reflected in its original, gets reflected as it is. And so Atmananda is reflected in the mind, which we call as a reflected Ananda, Pratibimba Ananda. And that has a gradation, Priya, Moda and Pramoda, etc. That gradation itself shows that it is not a nature, right? It has not, basically there cannot be a gradation in the nature of a thing. It means Taratamya. Taratamya means a gradation. Well, more, less, etc. That is, in the Pratibimba, not in a Bimbananda. And Pratibimba Ananda, of course, in this Sattvic mind, definitely Ananda is experienced by the people. That experiential Ananda is definitely, it's a fake one, and it's subject to arrival and departure. It goes away also. Everyone's experience that the Ananda, well, the mind was happy once and it just goes away also. So, well, then this person who is a Jnani, definitely, instead of going through such Pratibimbananda, he claims the Ananda, that is its own nature. So, the beauty is, what happens, this is Jnanis, basically they enjoy sense pleasures also. They enjoy sense pleasures. And you might have seen also, they say this is really good. So its taste is really good. That is good. That is good. Oh, this form is so good. Oh, it is, enchanting form. This sound is very good. This music is very good. This Carnatic music is so good. So they experience the sense pleasures, really, because they are sure that whatever right now in my mind that Ananda is generated by listening, by eating, whatever it is, or by seeing something, by touching something, or by smelling something, they know for sure that that Ananda has not come from that object. Because of my mind definitely has right now Sattva, it has become so quiet that the Atma getting reflected in the mind. And that's my own nature. The Ananda, which is my own nature, getting reflected in the mind, and that's how mind is right now happy. Basically, object is not the source of happiness. And that is how they are able to enjoy the sense pleasure also. And if the sense pleasures are not there, they will not feel a emptiness within. Well, they definitely, they won't have a sense of a loss, basically, if the sense pleasures are not there. If they are there, and mind becomes quiet, and one's own nature gets reflected into a quiet mind, very quiet reflecting medium, definitely, they enjoy the sense objects also under that condition. That is what has been talked about here. So, and therefore one's own nature, that he will not be subject to loss. That's for sure. Pratibimba Ananda, which has been generated in the form of different vrittis called Priyamoda, Pramoda, etc., they are subject to loss. They are experienced and they are subject to loss also. So, these jnanis do not have a tension of losing the objects. They do not have any depression by losing objects. They do not have, even if the sense objects being what they are, if they go away, they will not have a sense of loss also. But what about Swamiji experiencing this Bimbananda, which is one one's nature? What about the experiencing that? Well, there is no question of experiencing. That is you. Well, if you want to experience something, it must be other than you. And therefore you, basically, since it is your nature, so may you understand that you are the source of Ananda. That's what is needed here at this moment. Anyway, so, and this has been talked very beautifully in Ananda Mimamsa of Taittiriya. I will tell you, the whole Ananda Mimamsa has been talked about in Taittiriya Brahmanandavalli. It says, Sa Esha Anandasya Mimamsa Bhavati. This is a Mimamsa, this is an analysis of the Ananda various living beings experience. Various living beings are experiencing this Ananda in a different degrees that we want to tell you about. That's what this is. Yuva syat sadhu yuva dhyayakah ashishto dridishto balishthah tasya iyam prithvi sarva vittasya purna syat. Imagine a person who is a young and who is a ashishta, who is in, who is a Vedika and who follows the instruction of the elders and teachers and all that. The person is very modest. Asishto, dradishta, and physically also very strong. Balishta, a lot of power he has, and he is young and very, very handsome. And tasya iyam prithvi sarva vittasya purna syat. Iyam prithvi. And he possesses the entire earth. And what kind of a earth? Sarva vittasya purna syat. He and that earth which is having all kind of wealth, black gold and yellow gold and everything, all kinds of gold. He is possessing so much of wealth. He himself has a lot of wealth. He is a youth. He is a young everything. And he is the emperor of the entire earth. Think of that person. And saha ekaha manusha anandaha, and the whatever joy he has, let us take it as a one unit of Ananda. Manusha Ananda. It is a one unit of Ananda. Teye shatam manusha anandaha. You multiply his Ananda by 100. Could you follow what I am saying? His Ananda is just one unit. Multiply by 100. And that becomes a one unit of Ananda for whom? This is Sa ekaha manushya gandharvanam anandaha. Well, there is a yoni called Manushya Gandharva. He has a one unit of Ananda, which is nothing but the 100 times of Ananda of that person, that young person, who is an emperor of this entire earth, filled with lot of wealth. He whatever he enjoys is just a one unit. If you multiply by 100, that becomes a one unit of Ananda for that Manushya Gandharva. And then I will explain to you later. Don't worry about it. Then it says Shrotriyasya cha akamahatasya. That is all the time there. And he is Ananda, Manushya Gandharva, that person. Whatever the Ananda he has, that Ananda is included in the person who knows Brahman as the self. Shrotriyasya cha akamahatasya. Shrotriyasya, one who is well versed in this Shastra, one who knows the purport of the Shastra, that is, the purport of the Shastra is Atma is Brahman, and therefore he knows he is Brahman. And therefore, whatever the Ananda that Manushya Gandharva has, that becomes the Ananda, or that is included in the Ananda of that Brahmanishta, or that Jnani Purusha. That is Sthita Prajna. Shrotriyasya cha akamahatasya teye shatam Manushya Gandharvanam anandaha sa eko deva Gandharvanam anandaha. You multiply by 100 of the Ananda of a Manushya Gandharva. That becomes a one unit of Ananda for the person who is a Deva Gandharva. It's another yoni. And so it's very beautiful. So, Swamiji, this is all, look, it is not like that. It's not like that. We have to understand it properly. Well, so sa ekah deva gandharvanam ananda. So then it becomes a one unit of ananda for a deva gandharva. So you can understand, first is a human being. Then, if you multiply by, the ananda of that person, 100 times becomes a one unit of ananda for a Manushya Gandharva. You multiply by 100, that becomes a one unit of ananda for a Deva Gandharva. If you multiply by 100, that becomes a one unit of ananda for Pitrus. That becomes, if you multiply by 100, that becomes ananda for Ajana Deva, etc., 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 etc. Abba. Teye shatam brihaspate ananda. Ananda sa eka prajapate ananda. Shrotriyasya cha akamahatasya. Teye shatam prajapate ananda sa eko brahmana ananda. Ultimately, you can multiply by 100 and reach to the higher yonis, and ultimately the ananda of a Brahman, Brahmaji, not Brahman, ananda of a Brahmaji, well, that is ultimate ananda, but that is also included in Shrotriyasya cha akamahatasya. Well, definitely all the anandas of the varieties of the people, varieties of the yonis, they are basically included in the ananda of this Brahmanishta, the person who is a wise person, who knows himself, who is no more ignorant about oneself, that I am limitless, etc., I am full, etc. So, that has been discussed. So, what I am saying is that entire Ananda Mimamsa, which has been discussed in Taittiriya Upanishad in Brahmananda Valli, that has been narrated by Shankaracharya ji in the verse number 58 in just 2 lines. So, Brahmadhyaha Akhilaha, see, Brahmadhyaha Akhilaha, all living beings in this creation, including Brahmaji, whatever they experience as pleasures, Anandinaha Bhavati, they become ecstatic. And you can imagine these devatas in Ananda, I mean they are quite in the lower category. Well, so whatever joy they experience, ultimately, any yoni, consider devas, the ananda of the deva will be what? You can understand that they are sitting with a Indra. Let's say Agni and Vayu and all, we have learned recently. So Agni, Vayu and all, they are sitting in a court, in a heaven. Very beautiful, sterile environment is there. Not too much cold, not too much heat. Very nice climate. Swamiji, you must be having right now in ashram very beautiful atmosphere in Pennsylvania, and because etc., etc., not much heat and not much cold, etc., whatever. So that kind, but sterile. No more threat of a COVID-19. And so, therefore, all this, and they are, and that Ramba, Urvashi and all, they are doing a very beautiful dance, and Bharatnatyam and Odissi and whatnot. And they are all, the drink also have been served to them. And what is that drink? That Amrutam. They are getting that, they are drinking that and taking sip of it. And what an amount of joy they have. Nothing. Against this person who is telling that, well, I am limitless Brahman. I am no more ignorant about myself. I am limitless Brahman. In the joy of this Jnani, who is nothing but a limitless Brahman, all these joys which are just Pratibimba Ananda, they are all included. Ultimately, the source of Ananda is only one, that is Atma, which is limitless. So, but Swamiji, that limitlessness has to be experienced. Yeah, you are experiencing. Why you are worrying about? Do you have moments of joy or not? Yeah. But that moment of joy, whatever you are experiencing is yourself. Well, in a moment of joy, you experience that you are full. Otherwise, how will the joy be there? There cannot be joy. And so, same limitless Brahman is experienced as a fullness in the moment of joy. And not only that, in deep sleep state also, you are free from all the limitations also. And therefore, definitely, the source of happiness is only Brahman. But Swamiji, why there is a difference? Manushya and Manushya Gandharva and Deva Gandharva, and their Ananda also will be, gradually increasing. Yeah, because it is due to the difference in reflecting medium. That's all. Compared to Manushya, Deva Gandharva has a more sattvic mind. Manusha Gandharva has a more sattvic mind. Compared to Manusha Gandharva, Deva Gandharva has, his mind is more quiet, more sattva. And like that, Brahmaji is, well, definitely, ultimately, whose mind must be very, 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 let's say, highly sattvic. And therefore, the Atma only getting reflected, Atmananda only getting reflected in the such a mind of a Brahman, Brahmaji basically, well, definitely must be enjoying, that Pratibimbananda must be highest. That's how it is, we have to explain. So here it says, Tasya, means basically, Akhandananda Rupasya Tasya Ananda Lava Shrita. Well, Atma, which is Akhanda Ananda, which is, well, divisionless, and which is of the form of Ananda, of the nature of Ananda. Tasya Brahmanaha, of that Atma, well, Ananda Lava, Amsha of Ananda, all these are Shrita. All these are getting a joy. All these varieties of the yonis, they are getting a joy of this, just a fraction of this Ananda. So I am that Ananda. This is a way of describing, this is a way of giving a description of a Pratibimbananda, which we also experience and other yonis also experience in their respective bodies. So, and what is the nature of Pratibimbananda? Well, that we have seen, it's an experiential pleasure, and so it cannot remain all the time, being experienced. And therefore, like they say, imagine a child. Now I will explain what is this Priya Moda and Pramoda, which has been explained in a Taittiriya Upanishad. Pratibimbananda has been told in a form of Priya Moda and Pramoda. So for that, let us take an example. Say how that experiential Ananda will be. Like a mother who is staying in Bombay for many years. She has lost the husband and she has one child. And he has come here in the United States for study, and he got graduated from Harvard, and he immediately was absorbed in some company, etc. And so he was here for many years now. And he used to communicate, all the time, remain in touch with the mother, etc. And but then mother was calling. She was feeling lonely and she wanted to see her child. That's the only child she has now. And so she wanted to see the child. His son, her son. And so this person, getting busy with all the work and everything. So all the time say, well, I will come. And then once he did an email, then next month I am planning to come. And that I'm planning to come. So then again it is, but then after a week again he did an email and he said, well, I'm coming, definitely, I have booked the ticket, etc. And by seeing that email itself, mother got a joy. That is Priya. That's a Priya. That's called Priya. Priya means this is one unit of Ananda. Think that way. So this is, she, by just seeing that, I'm getting the news that he is coming, she got a Ananda. And now the day has come. And today he is coming. And therefore, morning itself, by thinking about his son and meeting his son and, embracing his son, she gets a joy. That is more compared to when she got a news. Real? Could you follow what I am saying? So that is called Moda. That's called Moda. Moda means a little in degree. That, Pratibimbananda, but in degree it is more. And when she went to airport to receive him, and that the son has come out, after 10 years she is seeing. So he has come out. And when she embraced, by seeing also she got so much joy, but when she embraced her child, son, and at that time, the degree of Ananda is highest. We call it as a Pramoda. So this is how it has been understood. Okay, that's so good, no Swami? Yeah, but experiential Ananda, it will go away. No, don't say that. He is coming after 10 years and going to stay for 21 days. And therefore, and he came in, and they both came to the home, and then she was so excited that she cooked so many things, and she was all, jumping around and everything. She told to her neighbors also, well, my son has come, etc., etc. Next day, little less. Next day, excitement, little less. After a week, little excitement. And after 10 days, no excitement. Boy is there in the home, no excitement. The excitement which was there at the airport while embracing, that excitement is no more. Oh, gaya. Sab khatam ho gaya. So, what I am saying is, this experiential Ananda is like this. It is always in the form of gradation. Degrees are there, degrees of happiness is there, but it comes and goes away also. So this is how Priya, Moda and Pramoda. So experiential pleasure will definitely not remain in the same condition all the time, because it is a reflected pleasure and it depends upon the condition of the moving mind. And mind is moving all the time, will not have sattva. Swamiji, why all the time that sattva will not be there? All the time pure and tranquil and without any agitation, and mind always will be in the sattva, etc. Why can't be like that all the time? Because it depends upon karma. What can we say? Karma. Ultimately karmas manifest, right? The subtle body and the physical body they are both in the grip of prarabdha. Both. This gross body also in the, because they are born of prarabdha, ultimate karma basically. Subtle body will not say about born of prarabdha but karma. And gross body of course born of prarabdha. But ultimately in general, generically if we see, it is nothing but a karma. And therefore depending upon the karma, their status also will vary. And therefore all the time sattva will not be there. It is made up of three gunas, and all the time sattva won't be there. Rajoguna will be there. More agitation, reflection of the Atma, Atmananda will not be so clear. And sometimes tamoguna also will be there, and so becomes so dull that Atmananda won't be reflected at all. And therefore in such condition, experiential Ananda is like this. And therefore any yoni, whoever is experiencing the Ananda, depending upon their yoni, definitely sattva will be more. And therefore the degree of joy also will be more, 100 times we have seen. But ultimately it is experiential Ananda. And therefore an intelligent person looking at the reflection, takes that, claims that Bimbananda. He won't be dependent upon those experiential Ananda. When it comes, I will enjoy. But when it is not there, he will not have a sense of loss also, because he knows that was he alone get reflected in the mind. Therefore, you basically, even including samadhi, I am telling you, because ultimately, see what happens is, by manipulating the mind only this Ananda is generated, right? Depending upon the condition of the mind, this Ananda is generated, right? Pratibimbananda, I am talking about reflection. And therefore, basically, yogi also has an Ananda in a samadhi, but definitely that is also one condition. He has manipulated his mind in the Ashtanga Yoga, and that also is an experiential Ananda, and that will remain only when you are in a samadhi. That's all. Once you come out, that is how so many yogis, once they come out of the samadhi, they don't like. They are very uncomfortable now coming back to this world, empirical world. So when the samadhi will be there, they will have Ananda. And that is also generated of manipulation of the mind. Any joy which is generated out from the manipulation of the mind will be temporary and will go away also. It won't last. And that is how you and me all have experiential Ananda. But you and me know very well, it just goes away. And in fact, whatever the object we feel that has become nimitta, by which our mind has become tranquil, and Atmananda has been reflected in that tranquil mind, reflected as it is, his nature is reflected as it is, but that doesn't last long. And definite object remains there, the sun is there, right there. But now no excitement. 10 days over, there's no excitement. She feels as if she has the same routine as in absence of the son. Same kind of a routine. Or she may start complaining about also so many things. That's possible. and feeling sad also in presence of the son for which she was waiting so long. That's a source of joy when he will come, when I will see him, when will I embrace him, etc. etc. No more excitement. That's you and me know very well that even so-called object of pleasure which we are seeking since a long, when it comes and once you experience it, now it is lying there. Well, after experiencing, so many objects are lying as it is. No more giving joy. So some CDs, musical CDs, and beautiful and devotional music and all that. Now all that lying somewhere in the home, we don't know also. Getting a lot of dust also. Nobody bothers also. So this is how it is. Our own Ananda only gets manifest in a tranquil mind. To bring that tranquil mind, whilst objects become a nimittam. They become nimittam. They are not source of joy. We have discussed this so much in Tattvabodha also on this. So anyway, a gradation in sattva etc. will be there depending upon the reflecting medium. So, and one thing before I complete this part, that as I told you before, that Shankaracharya ji here highlights that his teaching is based upon Veda Pramana, that is Upanishad. So, and he connects in every verse to a particular Upanishadic Vakya, and so statement. So we already, this particular verse number, 58, Akhandananda Rupasya Tasya Ananda Lavashitaha, that is based on Taittiriya Vakya, which I already explained you. And also it is based on Chandogya Upanishad, 7th chapter, Bhuma Vidya. And in Bhuma Vidya, Bhuma means Brahman actually. That's another name for Brahman. Bhuma means limitless. Brahman also means limitless. So there in Chandogya, instead of using word Brahman, they have used word Bhuma in the 7th chapter. And there also this Ananda has been described. Not in Anand Mimamsa as such, but that the statement is like this. Yovai Bhuma Tat Sukham Na Alpe Sukham Asti. Yovai Bhuma Tat Sukham. This Bhuma or Brahman is Sukham. Sukha Swarupa. It is of nature of the of happiness. Na Alpe Sukham Asti. Well, Alpam is the object. Any object is called Alpam, limited. Object means it is limited. Limited in how many ways? All the 3 ways. This is limited in all the 3 aspects. There are 3 aspects in the creation. One is a time, one is a place or space, and the third is the object, name and form. So this object is limited in time, is limited in place, and object is limited object-wise. Clip is clip and nothing else. Clip is not this, right? Clip, being clip, says that I am not pen, I am not Muktatma, I am not camera, etc. etc. So this is how it is. Anyway, what I want to say is